In a world of fake news, this is news you can trust. Comedy without the communism. You're listening to the Babylon Bee with your hosts, Kyle Mann and Ethan Nicolle.
Yes, welcome everybody to the Babylon Bee podcast, a very exciting and special episode because we are here digitally across the interwebs, inner tubes,
the
webs with Adam Ford.
We're already falling apart. Adam Ford has joined us.
He's broadcasting from his secret underground bunker.
Mm-hmm. He's just sitting there in his long underwear with his giant beard.
Yeah.
Drinking his...
Throwing back beers,
mug of moonshine,
shooting guns in the air. He's like a prepper. He's a total...
Yeah, that's what I imagine, like, just hiding in this concrete box.
Yeah.
Ethan, I love how whenever you talk about where you think I am, you think I'm in in the side of a mountain somewhere. I'm in Metro Detroit. You're in a town of 100,000 people.
You're city, like a prospector. I know. I don't know what it is. Now I'm echoing.
You just that image is there in your brain and it just can't get shaken. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, that's what we all think.
It's like, yeah. It's because you're so secretive, I think. You're like, even though you're really not anymore.
I guess not. Here I am.
You're coming out.
I think I'm one of the few people in the world to have ever met Adam Ford.
Met him in person.
And it was the mountainside bunker.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, he stayed at my bunker.
He fought off some cougars. He's like, you guys in the middle of a conversation. He's like, hold on, I hear a cougar.
Hang on.
He played video games with my kids. To this day, he's still with
hero.
With Zelda or whatever and Smash. He's still like the gold standard for my kids.
It was hilarious. I showed up to his house and his kids are like in awe. They're like, "This is Kyle."
What is this thing? A video game?
They knew about it because we had played online.
Did you bring the video games to them?
No, we had played Smash Brothers online, and then we showed up and we played Smash Brothers in person for the night.
How do you play video games with 30 kids? I assume he has 30 kids.
Yeah, 30 kids.
Very funny, Ethan. I love it. Yeah, no, but so now when we talk about video games, which I don't play video games, but when my kids talk about video games, there's the scale is how good are you? Is from 0 to Mr. Kyle. How good are you?
Absolutely awesome.
Nice.
So speaking of underground bunkers, I just got back from a libertarian conference that I spoke at.
I thought you smelled like weed.
Yeah. And all the stereotypes you think of libertarians, they are true.
I can only think of weed and Ron Paul obsession. I don't know what else.
True.
What else? What other?
Silk Road.
What was that? Silk Road?
Ayn Rand, constantly quoting Ayn Rand.
Yeah.
Taxation is theft.
Yes.
Right.
There were shirts of those for sale. You could buy taxation is theft t-shirts.
Tax free because libertarians don't pay taxes, right?
That's right.
Yeah. I mean, sorry, I didn't mean to say that, Kyle.
But the one thing I did notice was that it was a lot more diverse and eclectic than you would expect. There was a bunch of families with 6 kids that just brought their kids. And they're just sitting in these sessions and the kids are just running around. So there was the people you would think of as libertarians. And then there was it was interesting. It was I've gone to conservative conferences and it's very everybody you would expect to be.
Pacific Islander lesbians?
Yeah, absolutely.
Did I say lesbians?
Yeah,
you did. You invented a word just now.
That should be is that a party? A lesbians? Oh, yes.
Boy. But basically, the Frank Fleming article, "Libertarian Christian Fights Vigorously to Legalize Various Sins." That was basically the gist of it. But no, it was the guys at the Free State Project who were all trying to move to New Hampshire and turn it into a libertarian utopia, hectopia.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, in New Hampshire. I've heard of that.
That was interesting. It was super interesting. So
yeah, I've heard Michael Malice talk about that place on his show.
Yeah.
The New State Project or something like that.
Yeah, I was talking to guys that had listened to our podcast, and they're like, "Oh, you got to talk to Michael Malice? You got to meet Michael Malice? He's revered as a prophet among the libs."
Huh. The libertarians. Is lib short for libertarian? The libbers.
Adam always referred to me as a lib.
Liberts.
Because I said I lean libertarian.
Okay. I gotcha.
You know.
So we're owning the libs.
That's mountain humor.
Well, and speaking of libertarian chaos, my children are here today.
Yeah.
So if you hear a small voice,
Your noises back there.
if you hear a squeaky voice, it's either Ethan or my 3-year-old running into the room. So,
How dare you?
all right.
So we're gonna get in the news because we have Mr. If you guys don't know about Adam Ford's other endeavor, DISRN, his news aggregator. Is that the right thing to call it? Do you
I would
aggregate?
call it a news outlet, but that works.
A news
as well.
outlet.
Yeah, they write like original stuff.
Yeah, you got original stuff too. But it's like what I love about DISRN is you guys keep it all pretty bite size, and you can get through you send out an email every day with this list of kind of most of the important stuff that happened the day before, with links to bigger articles if you really want to dive in. But you kind of get a rundown, and also it's run by great guys. Adam Ford.
Why, thank you, Ethan.
Guys,
Thank you very
trust. It's not run by the libs.
I forgot to mention, I did give DISRN a plug at the Libertarian Conference because they did a Q&A. And someone was like, well, with the news being fake, who do we listen to?
Yeah.
I said, I'm glad you asked.
Kyle, you are the man.
So,
Is there a DISRN theme song yet?
the DISRN
no.
theme song?
DISRN.
Where you go to get... Oh, no, what's your motto again? Short,
Brief, smart, faithful.
brief, smart, faithful. Brief, smart, and faithful.
DISRN.
How did I end up here?
Did not know what you were getting yourself into.
California guys, man. It's like a musical. You're just going about your day and you just start singing and stuff.
Yeah, if you've ever watched La La Land, that is basically
I have not, nor will
our
I
lives.
ever.
Okay, well, that's our lives.
Okay.
It's not. Weekly stories, shall we?
Let's do it.
Every week, there are stories. These are some of them.
CNN condemns D-Day soldiers for lack of diversity.
Adam, you're supposed to laugh.
Yeah, we can't laugh at her.
Thanks.
Sorry, I was drinking coffee.
Everybody's taking a break. So this week, Trump tweeted out a photo of his task force for what was it for norovirus?
For the coronavirus. And they were all white people.
They were all white, and that was the big article that was sent out. I was like, oh, here we go again.
That's terrible.
What was the actual headline? Coronavirus task force, another example of Trump administration's lack of diversity.
Yeah, CNN's headline on this.
I like the idea that someone walks into that room like, stop what you're doing right now. We're starting over. We're starting over.
The diversity police
People are
show up.
dying. Stop. Yeah, the diversity police break in. SWAT team falls into the ceiling.
Diversity SWAT. I love this concept. They would
When they were
definitely...
moments away from a cure. Doesn't matter.
Sniper, do you have 60% of the white people in your sights?
They would bust down our door right now, probably.
Yeah, they would.
Well, you're two white guys. I mean,
Plus, Dan's very white too.
this is very problematic.
And we have three white
this
children.
is why they say, you hear all the time, it's almost like a cliche now that reality is beyond satire, or not the Babylon Bee. It still shocks me though. It's unbelievable that was really a real thing that CNN really published.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're serious.
It's unbelievable.
Like, this is an excerpt from the story. It's a statement that's as predictable as it is infuriating. President Donald Trump's administration lacks diversity. They communicate a patronage network that everyone is operating under. As Eric Yellen, an associate professor of history and American studies at the University of Richmond, told the Washington Post last year about a different set of photos. Okay, so they've been talking about these photos for a while. Having that network be interracial is really important. Anyway.
I like the idea that someone's dying of coronavirus. And they're like, wait,
Oh, hold on.
hang on a minute.
Yeah.
Can I know how many
Or that they were like,
POCs you have in your...
or like that they were putting together the task force, and they're like, okay, here's the task force. Like, wait. What are all these black doctors doing here? Get them out of here.
Yeah.
Get them out. Get them out.
Yeah, like Trump is like, we need a task force to fight only white people.
He's like,
Only white people.
Qualifications. You must have a doctorate. You must have studied in this field. You must be white.
Yeah, because we're in a hurry, but we're going to really zero in on race.
But you got to think that that's kind of how it is with other groups where
Yeah, do you think the KKK has a tough time putting together task forces for coronavirus?
Well, I was thinking the other way, like under the Obama administration, did they sit there when they came up with a task force like this and go,
yeah,
we don't want the most qualified people.
Yeah.
Let's make sure that there's some diversity there.
Who knows?
Yes. Yes is the answer.
The task force really should look like the Burger King Kids Club, where you have the one guy in the wheelchair and you have the black kid that plays basketball.
Yeah, the Burger King Kids Club. I remember there was one kid that looked like me. He's a big, fat, blonde-haired kid.
So you felt accepted and included.
Oh, they accept me. And he's white.
Yeah, that's it's a religion is what it really is, you know. The call it whatever you want to call it. People call it cultural Marxism or neo-Marxism or whatever. It's like a religion, and everything else is subservient to that. Doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah.
Everything else is subservient to that. Doesn't matter if everyone on planet Earth dies of a disease. Well, wait a minute. How diverse is the task force? You know, do we have a transgender 14-year-old who's handicapped? I mean, that they should be represented on this task force. You know, and it's the way they hear it is, oh, so you think minorities aren't good enough to be on a task force, or if you assembled the best people in the world, they're all going to be white. No, that's the team right there, and it just happened to be white people. And I can't believe we're even talking about this.
I know. Never when they put together like the dream team of basketball or anything. It was like, hey,
wait a minute. We need more pudgy white guys
or Asians or something. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, Elizabeth Warren knows all about the diversity. She said she would run her Department of or Secretary of Education by a transgender teen.
I was just going to mention that. Was that in the show notes, or was that
I just made the connection. But did you see this, Ethan?
I missed this.
Yeah, Elizabeth Warren assured everybody that her, when she picked her Secretary of Education, she would run it by a transgender teen to make sure that
transgender
find a random one.
Yeah, it's just like the ultimate.
She wasn't kidding. She wasn't kidding, and that's why it's so easy to laugh this off, like that CNN article, laugh it off. But this is really real. She said she would pick an education secretary, and then she would give a transgender child the power to veto her pick if the transgender child didn't feel that the person was accommodating enough.
That is just
this
wild.
person is one of the front runners for the Democrat Party right now. This is real life. Oh man, I can't wait to get my own podcast going. I can just rant about this stuff forever.
Isn't the goal to get to the point where we could create a task force and nobody even thinks about race, right? Isn't that like the ultimate goal we're all trying to get to?
Only a racist would say that, Ethan.
But I'm thinking, aren't they saying too that, wouldn't they say that's like their ultimate, like right now they're just supposed to be doing damage control, fixing all the racial divides, but somewhere down the road, isn't the goal to be like, we wouldn't even think about it because everybody's so equal.
So. I don't think that's their
goal.
No,
I agree.
That's the opposite of their
isn't
goal.
That
that's
messed
the
up?
Literal opposite.
So
of
what?
Their goal.
But then I want to know, what is the goal? Their
goal is to, the ultimate goal is virtue signaling. But the stated goal is to have representation of every single cross section, every single intersection imaginable, which is ultimately the fatal flaw in that particular worldview, because there are theoretically an infinite number of intersections. You can never account for every intersection. You can divide people by race, by sexual orientation, hypothetically, infinitely, by age, by attractiveness, by weight, by hair color, until you get down to what? The individual, which is what people in the West figured out hundreds of years ago, is that the individual is what matters. That's why none of it makes sense ultimately.
We should come up with a new intersection right now.
Go ahead, do it.
Transgender person who likes string cheese
and can't whistle very good.
Well, that's problematic right there, because cheese is made from cows, and so then that means you're not a vegan.
Oh.
Are non-vegans not people too?
Well, they're problematic people.
So it's intersections of oppression. So we have to think of things that are...
To me, it seems like people that are into this way of seeing things is like they found this guy who's like this street magician, or no, he's like the guy in Gremlins that has like a shop of trinkets. He's like, these glasses will help you to see the world. You'll be angry at everything, and you will have enemies.
Yes.
And you will see all the evil in the world that's not really there, but it'll make you feel great about yourself. Well, thank you. And they put it on, and they're like, oh, I feel so good now.
Did we do an article about that?
No problems will be solved, but you'll feel great.
I thought we did an article about like oppression goggles or something.
I think I have pitched it many times, but it's never quite hit.
I feel like
Should run it today, man.
Maybe we did. I don't know.
Because I remember this Photoshop with like the green, and it's like white male oppressor.
Oh yeah,
But I feel like
maybe.
we did do.
I don't know. It's all blur.
All right, let's move on to our next story.
How about you read this one, Kyle?
Uh-oh. Sanders campaign texting "Gulag for you" to people who aren't voting for Bernie.
We talked about these last week.
That's kind of real, though.
Yeah,
that's a B headline.
Yeah,
We need to start a website, DISRN or B, or something where you mix up the DISRN headlines.
quiz you have
and
to
the
try
B.
to pick. I saw that. Somebody had that.
Really?
I don't know if a fan
The guy
created
really
it.
said that on that O'Keefe leaked video. The guy literally really said that for people
Yeah,
who
we
were
played
not
the first guy. We played some of his clips last week, but we got some new ones.
Do you have the clip?
Yeah, you want to hear the clip?
Let's hear it.
Let's do it.
We got some. No one's playing these, so we want to hear these.
I'm an anarcho-communist.
Pretty much anarcho-syndicalism.
There's a lot of me's in the Bernie campaign. Bernie doesn't get the nomination in Milwaukee with Bernie.
Trying to attract truly radical people.
I walk into that MSNBC studios, drag those motherfuckers up by their hair, and light them on fire in the streets.
I'm ready to start tearing bricks up and start fighting.
It's going to take militancy.
I'm already on Twitter following numerous groups around the country that are ready to organize.
Like Antifa, yellow vests, all that, but keeping that in the back burner for right now.
I'll straight up get armed. I want to learn how to shoot and go train.
I canvass with someone who's an anarchist.
I'm an anarcho-communist. I'm as far to the left as you can possibly get.
Canvass with someone who's more of a Marxist-Leninist.
I'm a communist that believes in pretty much anarcho-syndicalism.
Gulags are actually meant like really
The education.
A lot of the stories we're told in the United States about the Gulag are exaggerated.
Our prisons in the United States right now are far worse.
We have more people in prison in this country right now.
That's kind of what Bernie's like.
I have to admit, a lot of that's very hard to understand. Do we get a transcription?
That's very scary stuff, man.
I heard drag him about in the streets, start things on fire, tear the bricks down, something like that.
He said drag them out in the streets and light them on fire.
Yeah.
With those the very, very far lefties who are
To each their own politically.
they're bullshit. They even hate like MSNBC because they're not left enough. So he said he's gonna kill all the MSNBC guys. And you don't see this in the media anywhere, do you?
Yeah, that's the weirdest thing about this. There's no comment from the Bernie campaign.
It's terrible.
Apparently, none of these guys have been fired or lost their positions.
How unbelievable is that?
No media is covering it at all.
Yeah,
DISRN is covering it. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, none of the corporate press is covering it.
Press.
How unbelievable is that, though? I mean,
We should get that, like a little hissing snake type voice that goes, corporate press, or something like whenever we say it.
Let's get Michael Malice to say it,
Yeah.
and then we could use it as
press.
the corporate press.
Sorry, I interrupted you, Adam. Continue, sorry.
I lost my train of thought. It's all right. I don't know if I was going anywhere other than to say, I can't believe that's a real thing. And the guy saying the gulags weren't that bad.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
You know,
getting scary.
You got a living wage.
I'm not exaggerating when I literally, that is, in my approximation, that is literally as bad as someone saying similar things about Nazi Germany.
Yeah, no,
Because
if you
the
imagine...
Soviet Union was just as more murder. 100 million people communism has killed. The Soviet Union was every bit as murderous as Nazi Germany was. And this guy's saying good things about him. Like this is unbelievable.
Yeah, and you just imagine, a secret camera catching some Trump supporters talking anywhere near like this. It would be the bombshell of the century.
The guy's saying ship people off to gulags who don't vote for Bernie, and that there's a reason they had gulags, and they're actually, re-education camps that we're going to have to do here so that Trump supporters can stop being Nazis.
Yeah, and violence is sometimes all right. You got to do it sometimes. And this is
the only thing they understand.
Yeah, it's the only thing they understand.
Dude, this is crazy stuff. I mean, this is crazyville. just because, you know, we don't learn about the Soviet Union in school nearly like we do Nazi Germany, which is obviously every bit as horrible as it's made out to be. But we don't hear anything about the Soviet Union. Like, how many people have read the Gulag Archipelago? Have either of you guys read that? Mm-mm. Read the Gulag That should be, every high school student in the nation should have to read that. Every person listening to this, go read the Gulag Archipelago by Alexander Solzhenitsyn. It's a Nobel Prize for Literature winning book. It's not like some outlier type thing, but the guy was in the gulags, and it's just his firsthand account, and it was instrumental in sort of opening a window so people could see into Soviet Union under Stalin, and it's absolutely horrifying. It's terrible. And these guys, man, they just think they're like edgy and cool and you know, dangerous or something like that by saying these things. And it's just like, no, dude, you're just a fool. You're just a loser. Stop. Like, what are you thinking? You're advocating for a system of government that's killed 100 million people, and you're trying to bring that about in the United States of America. Man, I'm telling you, people listening to this who think that stuff is okay and think that it's okay that Bernie hasn't said anything about this or apparently fired these people, you need to do 20 minutes of research, you know, and you'll be and rethink your position. For goodness sake, this gets me fired up.
Well, you don't think, like, this isn't all people on the left. This isn't probably even a majority of Bernie supporters. But I would hope that if guys on the right or the conservative side, if there's these outliers that are talking like this, like, we got to drag them out in the street and got to tie them up and rope them up or whatever.
The
like
concentration camps paid a living wage.
Pretty good.
Right. You're right.
Slavery wasn't bad or whatever.
They'd be booted so fast, you know, and that's
what I'm saying. I would hope they would be booted. They would be ostracized, kicked out. Like, no, we're going to talk about violence. The moment you're going to talk about violence, get out.
Yes.
And I don't know why
that's a major distinction between the right and the left. And there's this, I saw Jordan Peterson talk about this one time, and I think I've made Kyle watch it. I think I forced it on him, like, dude, this is 9 minutes long, but you have to promise me you're going to watch this. But one of the things he was saying was, on the right, there's boundaries have been drawn, and you can take some of the leaders, you know, from the past, like Buckley, or present, like Shapiro or whatever, and there's a clear line, and one of the main lines is racial superiority. Mm-hmm. So if you go there, you're not with us.
Yeah.
We're not claiming you. But on the left, you can go too far left, but there's not really a line drawn where it's clear, where it's like, okay, I mean, it seems to me that a fairly obvious line would be, you're advocating for Stalinism or Soviet gulag. Sorry, you're not with us, but they won't even do that. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I wonder, crazy. I don't know. I wonder what the disconnect is where people look at Nazi Germany, where, you know, they killed 15 million or whatever it is, and then you look at the Soviet Union, where it's 100 million, or communism altogether, with Mao and Stalin and everybody in the 20th century. And maybe it's because we're dealing in millions, and we just can't wrap our minds around it. I don't know, but
no, I don't think so. I think partly it's because of the optics. Nazi Germany was much more visually available to the world. It was a war, and Soviet Union was kind of closed off and like sort of like China right now. They control all their information. They control the optics. They're not, you know, kind of expanding and taking over all of Europe, you know. And partly I think it's because, you know, on the left, they're terrified of being seen as not woke. It's that religion of wokeness. And if they slip once, then the whole group is going to jump on them and just eat them alive. I think that's part of it as well.
Yeah, it's probably part of that call out culture and stuff. Mm-hmm.
Well, next story. I don't think we're going to solve that one.
Yeah, I know. Like, what happens if Buttigieg or Warren is like, comes out and says, Bernie, you know, you gotta fire these guys. They're talking about the Soviet Union as though it's a good thing.
Yeah, they get canceled.
Do you think that people would cheer that? No, people on the left would jump on them and say, "What? You don't want equality? You don't want equity? You don't want, you know, a living wage? You don't want billionaires to be held to account? Blah blah blah." That's what would happen. Just trust me.
Yeah, Adam, I'd appreciate it if you'd stop firing your machine guns in the air while you're talking to us.
Am I making noises?
No, I'm just kidding.
Oh,
I'm just
sorry.
picturing you ranting about communism in your bunker while you fire your AR-15s.
Yeah.
I'm with.
Are you in? Do you have a tank like Alex Jones where he shows up at all these?
Wait, Alex Jones has a tank?
Yeah, have you seen this? Alex Jones, he pulls up at all these rallies, like liberal rallies, and he'll show up in a tank and pop out of the hatch with a megaphone. Like this armored vehicle thing. Yeah.
We got to get a tank.
Yeah, we need a Babylon B tank.
Mm-hmm.
Would be sweet. You can go around to the Antifa rallies out there in California and yell through a bullhorn like Alex Jones. Hillary Clinton is a reptile.
Hey, we need to isolate that. Make sure to remember
keep that. Story 3. Trump to deliver State of the Union in scuba gear to avoid drowning in liberal tears.
What a lit Photoshop.
So
I saw that one because someone who, well, okay, I won't humble brag, because I noticed it and because Trump Jr. tweeted it and someone sent it to me and I was like, the first thing I thought was, that's a lit Photoshop.
Lit.
Thank you.
Ethan, you are a wizard, dude.
It's so dumb. The only thing to be funny about this joke,
I mean, I'm telling you, back in the day, I used to be so jealous of the Onion, and I used to think, man, we've got all these janky Photoshops, and the Onion's out here with these, and then now we're unquestionably better than them in the Photoshop department.
I got some good ones. But thank you. I don't want to insult the Onion guy by accepting my compliment. That's my only concern.
Oh, don't worry about that.
We're all Photoshoppers out here, you know. I actually made up this joke, and I thought it was so dumb even when I made it up. But to me, the funniest part of it is just his hair poking out of the scuba gear. Okay, I actually cut his hair out of a different photo and tufted it in there just to make it sticking out. And to me, that's the funny
look on his face. So
yeah, and I wrapped his lips around the scuba thing, so he's talking through the oxygen tank.
Well, that's what makes Trump humor work to me, is that it makes fun of liberals, for being triggered by everything he does, but it's also him just being so blatant and like, I'm triggering you, liberal tears.
If you read the article, I was trying to make fun of the whole MAGA thing, you know, since he totally owned the Senate or whatever, and now he's going to totally own them again. He's got to get ready for a torrent of tears because they're all going to cry. Anyway, so we actually were, because the State of the Union is tonight, right? So,
yes.
But this will
air tomorrow.
This will air tomorrow, and the State of the Union will already have come out. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to predict what different people and media will respond to the State of the Union. So we actually have predictions. So once this comes out, you'll be able to tell if we were right. Okay. So some official responses that probably have actually already been released before the address. Snopes, entirely false. That was an easy one.
Yeah. New York Times, detailed analysis of every person who makes an okay hand sign during the speech.
All right. Buzz,
can I join?
Yeah. You got anything? Go for it.
I pulled, BuzzFeed. Take this quiz to find out what emoji best represents your opinions.
Max Boot. I don't know if you guys even know who that guy is. Op-ed. I was going to be a Republican again until this speech.
That's good.
Because every single op-ed he does is like, hey, I was thinking about coming back to Republicans, but nope, Trump's terrible. That's like his whole shtick.
We need to do an op-ed. We need to write an op-ed by Max Boot's hat.
I don't know who Max Boot is.
He was like a WAPO. He's supposed to be their like conservative reporter, I believe. But he's just like, every one of his articles is like Trump is destroying conservatism, and it's always the same.
Yeah, every time. He always makes it sound like he was good. He was about to come back. Like conservatism is just waiting for his return.
And Adam doesn't even know who he is. So.
Yeah, so owned.
That's funny though. It's like the guy who's supposedly a GOP strategist who was on CNN with Don Lemon, and he was making fun of every Trump supporter by using a fake Southern accent and saying they were all stupid and dumb. I've run across him a couple times since then. The headline will be like, "Leading Republican says something terrible about Trump. Leading GOP strategist says Trump's gonna," and I'll click the article and it's him. It's like, okay, you guys got to find
the Rick Wilson guy. Fan. I know. Yeah,
they always try to.
He's one of their favorites to use too because he just likes to rag on Trump.
Yeah, they do that a lot. They'll try to paint the guy that agrees with them as a bigger figure than they actually are. They did that when Christianity Today came against Trump. you know, was like a
leading
major thought leader in evangelicalism, you know, and it's like nobody really.
Oh, come on.
That's like what Malice was.
A leading conservative or something.
Yeah.
It's not,
That's what Malice was talking about when they talked about the commas. What do you call that?
I don't remember.
An aside or whatever. Like kind of like what they do in the negative way they did with Joe Rogan. Like Joe Rogan, who has been known to make racial and homophobic slurs.
I don't know what his term is for it, but yeah.
But yeah, so like they'll
frame it in a certain way.
So you know, let you know.
All right, so
what you should think of this person.
Alex Jones's response to Trump's State of the Union. He criticizes Trump for saying not one word about how the water is turning the frogs gay.
You could have done that in his voice.
Not one word.
I've never really listened to him. I don't know.
How water turned the frogs gay.
There you go.
I've never tried to do Alex Jones.
I haven't either, but I want to try. Not one word about the water turning the friggin' frogs gay.
What was the clip we always used to look at, Adam, where he talks about Obama being or Hillary being the devil woman or something?
What was that?
I forget. He's like, the wicked devil. And then he goes, just yells.
I refuse to go along with this, and I'd see through all of your lies, Barack Obama, you wicked devil.
The Super Saiyan clip.
Oh, yeah, when he goes Super Saiyan, yeah.
Can't keep it.
Obama, you wicked devil.
wicked devil.
Mike Pence's response: smiles, nods,
with an orange slice in his mouth.
Yeah. That's an old reference to an old joke.
Yeah. Whose turn is it?
Yeah,
CNN. CNN laughs uncontrollably.
Don Lemon.
Fox News. Flawless victory.
Oh, that was wild.
That was good. That was very Mortal Kombat. Marianne Williamson pipes in. She says, to really know the State of the Union, we must consult with these Himalayan salt crystals I got on Etsy.
I would love to see a Marianne Williamson State of the Union address.
Yeah.
She made it a lot more fun.
Yeah.
I wish she was still around.
Greta Thunberg.
We actually have audio of her response.
We have audio.
Yeah. I don't know what she would say, though. What would she say? I don't know.
How dare you?
Oh. Kind of a one-note message.
Yeah.
How dare you?
Hey,
she got the Nobel Peace Prize nomination, though.
You sound like a goat.
How dare you?
How dare you steal my soup can?
The lonely goat herd.
Yeah.
How dare you?
The side of the ocean.
Sean the sheep is mad.
All right, what does Vox
You gotta love though how a high school dropout is like a thought leader. Like she doesn't go to school anymore, right? She's 17 now.
She's too smart for school.
The strike.
She's too smart. She said, this is a major problem, and this is actually smart. How I'm going to solve this problem is I'm going to stop going to school.
She's going to save the world and then go back to school when she's older. She'll be like Billy Madison meets Al Gore.
I actually sing that song to my kids like on every Monday morning. Back to school.
Yeah. Let's get that stuck man too. Back to school.
Yeah. How dare you?
Kyle's never seen any old Adam Sandler movies. He missed those. Okay. Who's going Vox?
I wasn't allowed. I did catch Happy Gilmore, though. So.
Vox. Wow. Vox says, buy these special 3D racism glasses to see all the racism you missed last night. Beautiful. There's my joke again.
Oh, look, you just doubled up your joke.
Yeah. And we have our last one. You want to read Jordan Peterson's response? Adam, it's your fan?
Nas London broil. Is that a steak?
Yeah, it's a kind of meat. He just eats a lot of meat.
Okay, Jordan Peterson's on this list. So listen, where is he? How is he?
We miss him, yeah.
Does anybody know?
You know what's sad? We just hung out and talked to Dave Rubin, and we didn't really get a good, clear update on Jordan Peterson. I don't know why I didn't.
Yeah, he just kind of said it's sad, and I wish he was back around. And
yeah,
that was it.
This guy came out and like took over the world, and influenced so many people. And then his wife got into all this stuff with cancer, and it was very serious. And then he had to go to rehab when he tried to get off of the benzo that he had been prescribed. And I'm surprised more people aren't asking where he is. Listen, people listening, my email address is adam@discern.com. That's adam@disrn.com. Somebody email me and tell me what the deal is with Jordan Peterson, because I missed the dude.
Yeah.
Nobody knows.
Yeah, I'm always weird about asking. Like, I'm sure they get asked constantly for an update. So, but I was like, considering asking because his daughter follows me on Twitter now, and I was thinking about asking her. But
where's our name drop?
Michaela Peterson follows me on Twitter.
Name drop.
It was because of Babylon Bee. I guess they liked that last. I can't remember what the joke was. We did an article about him. One of our last ones.
Oh, the Oscars one or the
maybe it was a repost.
We said that he hosts the Oscars. I think that was Adam.
We had a few of them. We had the
that was an Adam Ford original Photoshop Oscars. There on that.
America's Got Talent was mine. Yeah. Anyway,
that was our Hail Mary to get a mention by Jordan Peterson.
Yeah,
because
we were going to that thing.
We were going to the conference to meet Jordan Peterson, and we were like, let's come up with a great joke. And we did him hosting America's Got Talent, and nobody shared it.
Yeah.
That's funny. I remember he rose so fast. The very first article that we did was him telling his laundry to sort itself out or something like that.
Yeah.
And I was telling Kyle, like, no one's going to get this. Like, this is very niche. Like, nobody really knows who this guy is yet. I don't. It's just a Hail Mary. I'm just going to do it anyways. And some people knew it, and then like a few months later, he was one of the biggest names in the world.
Yeah. Yeah. I was trying to find. Anyway, continue, you guys.
You are truly prophetic.
I'm not as good at searching stuff on my phone while I talk as Kyle.
I just hope he's all right. I hope he's all right.
Yeah, me too.
He's
we love that guy. Oh yeah, there's also archaeologists discover original stone tablets containing the 12 Rules for Life by Jordan Peterson.
Was that yours?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever written a Jordan Peterson joke because I don't know much about him.
It's a good book. It's a good
man.
I read someone, I don't remember who it was, but some Christian thinker described him as common grace on fire. And I thought that was an apt description. Kind of like, it's sort of in the same vein as Rush Limbaugh, which, how about Rush Limbaugh? That's just the saddest thing.
Very sad, yeah.
He's got lung cancer. And he's like, I hear your kids. That's hilarious. He's like common grace on fire. He's just, you want him to come to the Lord and to know Jesus, but even while he, apparently doesn't, or if he doesn't, he's got common grace from God to be just so influential and so wise about so many things.
I guess he's got advanced lung cancer. Is that right?
Yeah.
I heard that can be brutal. So
it is. Yeah. And so he didn't say what stage, but he did say advanced. And lung cancer, I read it kills more men and women than any other cancer. And from what I know I had a neighbor who died from lung cancer, and it was inside of a year after she was diagnosed. And just talking to that family, apparently you can't really, there's no real signs. You can't really tell that you have it until it's quite advanced. And so that's one of the reasons why it's so brutal.
Well, listeners, pray for Rush Limbaugh that he would come to know Christ.
Yeah.
And that his cancer would be healed.
For sure.
All right. You want to move on to our topic of the week?
Let's do it.
And now, the Babylon Bees topic of the week.
Well, this week we wanted to talk to Adam, Mr. DISRN, Mr. News Aggregator, the modern day... Wait, I blanked out. I almost said Breitbart. Not Breitbart, the other guy that aggregates news.
Drudge,
that guy. Only Drudge is modern still, I guess.
I was going to say, how can modern day, he's still doing his thing.
The modern day Bruce Wayne.
William Superman? Randolph Hearst.
Yeah.
Clark Kent.
I get Clark Kent and Bruce
Wayne's
Wayne
not a journalist.
Together. Yeah, he's not a journalist.
Beautiful introduction. Thank you for that.
Yeah. So I think it's a common question. I think there's a lot of people that just tone out the news completely. Some of us try to keep up. A lot of times it feels like you're just like a hamster running on a wheel, trying to keep up with all this news, and maybe you're just getting sucked into something. You are very passionate about the news and being informed on all this stuff. And so we thought we'd talk to you about that, like your perspective on it. We'd all kind of weigh in with ours. And what is and from a Christian perspective, like what is our responsibility to being informed on this stuff?
Yeah, what he said. Go ahead.
That's a big question, and I wish I had taken more time to think about this question.
We have hours.
Unfortunately, I got busy writing news and stuff all day, but it is a good question. And obviously,
well, I mean, why do you do it? And you're passionate about it, clearly. Yeah,
I just love it. I mean, that's another question that could take a while to answer, but I will say that I think I know you can go too far either way. You can make an idol out of being informed and just having information flying at your face all day, every day. Or, I mean, something I see all the time, politics is a very, potent idol, because there's something new happening every day and it can keep you sedated because there's always something going on. There's always something to be angry about. Mm-hmm. There's always something to be happy about. There's always something to argue about. It can be a potent little G God, but I see no virtue. I don't see any Christian virtue in being utterly uninformed. Okay. Like to have no idea what's going on especially if you're married or if you're a parent and you have some sort of responsibility to take care of your kids, you need to know what's going on in the world. You need to be an informed person. I don't see any real godly precedent in not having any clue what's going on in the world. You get where I'm going with this.
Yeah, totally.
And now I'm up to my neck in the news cycle every day, but I'm not just a casual consumer of news. I'm that way because it's my job to be, and part of one of the things that I feel called to do at this point, at this window of my life, is to stand there and take the fire hose of news headlines that come across every day and distill it down for people, Christians, conservatives, whoever wants to be informed in a way that's not overwhelming and exhausting.
Yeah, I think there's a real service in what you're doing, and that's boiling things down, because I think the media is set up to get a certain response out of us and to send us down a certain path. And in a lot of ways, you're standing in front of that path. There's a big sign that says outrage this way, let's go. And everybody's supposed to just run down it. And you're now you're standing in the path like this, holding your sign, like you're like one of those sign spinner guys that works for Sprint or something. And you're like, no, calm down. This is the truth, bro. That's you.
That's quite an illustration. Could you draw that for me?
I don't like drawing crowds of people. I would charge you a lot.
I was going to use the metaphor of he's jumping on the grenade for us, like these grenades of news come in, and
that's a lot more noble than my
leaps on it. And says, no, you don't need to listen to this one.
Sign spinner.
But then
I appreciate that you feel it's such a sacrifice for me, but I love it. I mean, I love it. It's exhausting, and I work way too much, but I thoroughly enjoy it. And this is what I'm doing right now. When I was drawing comics, that was my life. When I started the Bee, when I was running the Bee, that was it. And that was just a natural transition to news from the Bee, because I was in the news all day anyway, every day, to stay up on what was going on so we could mock it. And I love it. I just love it. I don't know why. It's just how I'm built. I don't have, if I get free time, like what I want to do is work. It's weird.
Yeah, same here. That's kind of how I am.
Yeah.
That's the only way you can do a job like that. You have to love it. Like you can't muster up the energy. Maybe you could get paid $1 million, I guess, actually. I take that back.
Even that money, you can't really do it.
You'll still phone it in because you're getting $1 million.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I guess I'll say that there's wisdom, though, in the moderation of moderating what you consume in terms of news, because I was always disconnected from the news, and I didn't care about politics.
Yeah. And
I was interested in politics. I kind of leaned towards libertarianism, but libertarians, we have this tendency to just tune out, not participate because we're like, it's all screwed anyway, and we don't engage. Mm-hmm. And so I think there is some wisdom in that perspective of saying this news is temporary and nobody's going to remember about it tomorrow, and knowing what it is you're supposed to care about. And that is why I like DISRN. And I promise this isn't a 30-minute infomercial for DISRN, but
yeah, I'm all right with it.
But to certain and similar sites, there are sites that do this kind of thing where it's just a link to somewhere, or they'll do a brief summary, and it's less bias and that kind of stuff. I do think there's wisdom in that, of knowing what matters and what you should think about. Things that do have long-term implications versus something that, I have to do this at the Babylon Bee where I have to figure out what's worth making a joke about. Because it's like, are people going to be talking about this tomorrow? And if not, maybe it's not worth it.
Yeah, true that. Definitely. And it's important to know, it's important to find sources that you trust and to trust them, It's important to find, you should have some people where when there's something crazy going on, you don't have to digest, you don't have to spend 4 hours reading everything. That's what pundits are here for. That's what, like, my newsletter is here for. So you can kind of get an idea of what's going on. There's people that are, someone who is like you, who's going through everything and pulling out just what you need to know. And then that saves you the effort and the madness of having to digest everything yourself, like at full length.
Yeah.
It's amazing. You look at an old newspaper, all the news that was going on that is completely forgotten.
Yeah. And how much of it, the 1% of it maybe still matters.
But the stories that, the thing I find fascinating is the stories that stand the test of time. It's less because of the physical details of what happened. It's because generally that story points to something true and wise and real and an eternal truth. So it sticks out. Just in the way that a non-true story does. A great fiction stands the test of time because it points to a deeper truth. So I think that's one thing we have to think about when we're looking at news and stuff. And that's one reason I'm a huge fan of G.K. Chesterton, is because he was a journalist of his day writing about things going on of his day. I just dropped the name of G.K. Chesterton. Hold on. We got the button we got to push. Hold on.
We're not very slick at our...
Dan was looking at his phone.
G.K. Chesterton.
So many of his essays are still meaningful today, even though you don't even know who he's talking about in them. You've never, because he's talking about eternal wisdom and truth.
That's good stuff, man. And that was another motivator for getting into the news business for me, because how many Christians are you getting your news from? Who understand that, who understand the big picture, you know what I mean? And how so much of it is not going to really matter that much in a week or a month or whatever. And, I'm not throwing shots or anything, but so many of the Christian news outlets are like, story of the day is this athlete, in between his string of cuss words said, "Thank God." And so, what an inspirational story that is,
Amen. Amen.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there we are.
So what advice we're leaving our listeners with on this?
Well, I guess I want to say too, like I was talking to a girl at this libertarian conference who was saying that she didn't read the news and went off social media for a year. And she said, I just got back on and I'm learning all this stuff about impeachment and all this. And and I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, if I had missed the news for the last year, how much would it have affected my life? And I'm thinking, well, very little, like it wouldn't have mattered.
It's new.
So I don't know. I guess I lean that way towards not caring, except that's my job to care.
That's where I lean too. But I think that the thing is that your kids, your culture, they're all consuming this stuff.
Yeah,
I want to be a voice of reason in that, and like Adam, the guy with the spinner sign along that trail where he's just barraging over the cliff like lemmings.
I guess it's like you will be made to care. That kind of... you can't just ignore it. Even
to me, that's one reason I enjoy being on the Babylon Bee, because I do think it's a service to mock a lot of news, because a lot of news is garbage. And a lot of stories are complete garbage, and it's worth
fake
it
news
to point that out and be like, this is so stupid.
Yeah.
Let's laugh.
Definitely
Everybody, let's laugh.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, conservatives and Christians, when they don't pay attention, when they're uninformed, I mean, look at the societal rot we're experiencing right now with conservatives and Christians engaged. Imagine if everyone just disengaged.
Yeah. And
would not be good,
And people unfamiliar with the idea of wisdom and eternity and just all this kind of stuff, they see these stories and they think this is new, this is the new path of humanity, or this is the new evil. And it's like, no, Read Ecclesiastes. This is peeing in the wind, friend. That's not exactly what he says, but basically something like that.
Well, it's good to. I have 3 sons. They're 10, 8, and 6. And when they ask me questions about this stuff, it's good to have answers.
Yeah,
I think, because what they're being fed elsewhere is very far from the truth most of the time.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, beyond just knowing the news, I think that keeping somewhat up to date is good. It's maybe not for everybody. There's some people that it's just not for them, and I don't judge them, but I think deeper than that, knowing what your deeper truth is, like what is wisdom and what does the Bible teach us and what is truth. Those are the things that you apply to your discernment of the news. Hey, that's the name of your website, Discern.
Good job, Ethan. Yeah, I agree. I disagree with Kyle, though. I think he would have missed a lot if he would have wouldn't have read news for the last year. But it's kind of historical times we're living in right now.
Yeah, but what would have affected my life? What would have affected the way that I, treat my family and the way that I lived out my Christian life? Like, I don't think it would have affected anything.
I guess we'll never know.
99.9% of humans that have lived on this earth never took in the amount of news that we take in now. They knew their local news, like, oh, the haberdasher down the street killed his mule today.
Yeah, but then I think the other side of it that I do agree with is if you have your head in the sand, things like the rise of Nazi Germany and the rise of communism, we can't recognize those trajectories that we're on now.
Yeah.
Like the rise of socialism and how we can fight that if we just ignore it,
Yeah.
So I think over the grand sweep of 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, the news matters. But I think, latching on to every single controversy has huge outrage.
Yeah.
And it really diminishes when the real stuff happens. It's like what the left does with Trump when they're upset about every single thing that he does.
Yeah. They're
and it's like,
to it.
And then when he actually does terrible things, we don't care.
Kyle, you are so right on that. It's like the boy who cried wolf. I've said before, like in my newsletter, it's, they call him Teflon Don, and it seems like that's a term of endearment or whatever, but it's not really. It's like nothing sticks to him.
Right.
And that's a main reason. One of the main reasons is because if he sneezes, they'll say, look at this clip of Adolf Hitler sneezing in the exact same fashion. This is a dog whistle, And so if they really have something, maybe a valid point, nobody cares.
Right.
Nobody cares because it doesn't mean anything anymore. And he'll say, remember I sneezed and then they said it was Hitler. And you'll say, oh, that's right. Yeah. So, how can you trust anything they say?
Absolutely.
They overplayed their hand, man. They're in a hot mess over there. And how about Iowa? Dude, what's going on over there?
Absolutely wild. Absolutely wild. The apps are crashing. Nobody knows who won. Buttigieg
the app was built in 2 months. Did you read that? They threw that app together in 2 months. Do you know the name of the company that built the app?
Oh, man.
Shadow? Was it Shadow?
Shadow Inc. That just sounds like a very nice, trustworthy.
And like Pete Buttigieg is like involved with it, or they paid for the app or something.
And like Hillary Clinton, somewhere in her past, someone from her campaign or something was involved. It's just beautiful.
Oh,
I mean, it's like, imagine the smile on Mr. Trump's face.
I saw Trump's tweet about it. That's pretty funny.
We were talking about this as Trump is like giving the State of the Union now after impeachment has collapsed and Democrats are in chaos and he's got these huge approval ratings. It's like Lib's worst nightmare.
Dude, and they were supposed to last night. I've been sick, and so I fell asleep early again last night, and I kind of felt bad because I was going to try to stay up to like midnight to report on the caucus results, when they came in. And I woke up and I was like, what the heck?
They still never came.
There's this jumbled field over there in the Democratic Party. And we were supposed to sail through the Iowa caucuses, and then we're supposed to have a real clear idea, of where things stood. And we still don't know anything. It's just so funny.
Yeah, one more thing I can say on the news thing before we can wrap up the topic. But one thing I respect about you, Adam, this is the only thing I respect about you, but is that
his gun collection.
Well, that too, but you unplug.
Yeah.
Intentionally.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's it. Like you find the balance, like, the girl, maybe a year off if you're new.
That's probably too much.
Dave Rubin does a month off every year.
Yeah, but like Adam will go out and he'll email out the Adam 4 newsletter, and he used to do this with the Babylon Bee. Like, I'm not running it this week. I'm out in the mountains.
Oh, okay.
And it's just like this unplugging of And then maybe we need that recharge.
Yeah, I think you need that like.
Got to, man. You got to.
Even daily, like, you know, I'm just compartmentalize your news intake off, and then you set aside some
I've been
time
trying
for
to like turn my phone off at 5.
a nice cigar or something.
And it's too hard for me, but I'm trying. So anyway.
You got to do that, especially if you take in as much external stimuli as I do every single day. It's just constant. You got to give, like, what was this? Some years ago, I something hit me and I was like, I always get maybe it was for comics. It was either comics or the Bee. I always get the best ideas when I'm brushing my teeth or when I'm in the shower. I thought, why is that? Oh, that's the only time I don't have 17 screens in my face where I can actually form thoughts, that aren't dependent on what my eyeballs are looking at.
Absolutely.
And so that was kind of an epiphany for me. So not only the week off when I go to Tennessee or wherever I'm going, but daily for instance, when I go on a run, like most people listen to music or a podcast or something like that, I intentionally don't. I don't take my phone with me, nothing. I just think while I'm running, or I go for walks around my neighborhood, just with no phone, no nothing. It like recharges you, and your brain needs time to process stuff. You can't just be, taking stuff in all the time. You gotta have some time to process.
Right.
Yeah, I like when I read the Bible in the morning, when I remember to, that is, that it's this sense of like I'm being anchored in things that are eternal and transcendent, and then I'm going off to war in this crazy chaos of things that are going to be here today and gone tomorrow. So I feel like that time is super important.
Absolutely.
So, in conclusion,
in my opinion, the best time to read the Word is in the morning.
In conclusion,
sorry, go ahead.
Well, I'm trying to give in conclusion, subscribe to the Adam Ford newsletter.
Mm-hmm. Yes, AdamFordNewsletter.com, and get your news at DISRN.com. That's DISRN.com.
And if you sign up right now,
it's free.
Yeah.
It's always free. That was a joke. No, but really though, I hope it blesses your life.
Later.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, you want to do some hate mail?
Let's do some hate mail.
I really miss Adam Ford.
All right, I think we got some reviews this week.
So who does the best Beavis and Butthead impression? I think that would be Ethan. I wasn't allowed to watch.
There's Beavis and there's Butthead.
Well, what's this?
We had somebody respond with last time we said Beavis and Butthead, and they were very upset that we said the word Butthead.
They wanted you to say.
They felt that was a swear word.
Bottomhead.
So I don't know if they still listen. They're going to be very mad right now because we've said it like 4 times.
We need flowerbed head.
Flowerbed head. Beavis and flowerbed. So Butthead's like,
that's pretty good.
And then Beavis is.
Okay, so I like this review.
This is good.
I like this review because it's a 5-star review, but it's kind of a backhanded, like...
Well, it's a 5-star review, but his wife gives us a 1-star, I think.
It's like my wife hates it, so I love it. 5 stars. So let's hear it.
Passive aggressive.
So then this is from Megiddo.
Megiddo.
5 stars. The title of the review is Beavis and the Other Guy, because the bad word, I think. I'm an evangelical minister. My wife explains her lack of interest in this podcast as they are Christian Beavis and Butthead. Yes, and that's why I listen faithfully.
That's pretty good.
I like that his wife.
What does that make me if you're Beavis and Butthead?
Yeah, who would you be?
I don't know.
You're
King of the Hill?
Yeah, you're Dale from King of the Hill.
Boomhauer?
Yeah, Boomhauer. Dangle. Yeah, I like that his wife is trying to. She's like, I hate those guys. They're like Beavis and Butthead. And he's like, yeah, exactly.
If they came to Christ and got their lives together.
He's like, perfect. That's exactly why I like them.
That's funny.
Are we that bad though? I feel bad. We do giggle. I mean, I noticed when Michael Mouse is on, and whenever he'd laugh, he'd hide his face from the mic and do it silently.
Yeah.
I was like, is that what professionals do? You don't laugh audibly at all?
Yeah, he kept tossing his head back and trying to get away from the mic.
Like, why do you want people to not know you're laughing?
Yeah.
That's so, but then I also know that eventually it might get annoying if you're like trying to just hang out and you're hearing this guy snickering in your ear all day.
All right. This is this review is our last hate mail for the day, our second and last. 4 stars.
Can I read the subject line?
Yeah, go ahead.
Cowards!
Avast! Ye cowards. Hey, Babylon Bee, if you're going to make fun of Doug Wilson, you should do it in person, where he can respond to the whole Civil War thing. instead of making fun of him where he cannot respond. You cowards.
Sincerely, Jack. Well, his name is. It's on iTunes publicly. So.
Jackson Crapuchettes.
He says, "Say the name.
Crapuchet.
Say the names it sounds."
Crapuchet. We got a flower bed.
Does that make sense to say the name?
I don't know what he's referring to.
A word you're looking at can't sound away.
We did not make fun of Doug Wilson.
Yeah.
Our guest, Joe Thorne, made fun of Doug Wilson.
Right? And we're not going to have Joe Thorne and Doug Wilson on at the exact same time.
I like this idea that we criticize anybody, and then we've got to...
Drive
we have to hang on
Idaho.
a second.
Drive out to Idaho.
Let's get Doug Wilson on the line.
Plantation.
Yeah. What we should have done is we should have sprung it on Joe Thorne, where we had Doug Wilson secretly on the line.
Yeah.
Then we say, "Oh, it's interesting that you say that." Doug Wilson is on the line with us right now. Doug.
And then you pat him through and he says, "Coward!"
Yeah.
Doug
Coward.
Wilson is in the next room right next to you right now. He's walking in. Look behind you.
Yeah. He said, "No.
Well, those were iTunes reviews, and if you have not left us an iTunes review and you like this podcast,
Please
we
do.
really thank those of you who we read all of them, and we read some of them on the show, but we personally read them all, and the 1-star ones really hurt our feelings badly. We all rest each other's heads on each other's shoulders and cry.
And don't leave a 1-star novelty review because you think you're funny.
Yeah,
leave the 5. If you're
I
gonna
saw
do the
one
joke,
guy do that,
leave
and then
the
he fixed it
5-star.
later.
All right, everybody. We will talk to you next time. Everybody say goodbye to Adam Ford.
Well, we're going into our subscriber portion now, so...
Yeah. But Dave already says that.
Okay.
So we don't have to say it anymore.
Okay.
So go to DISRN.com and subscribe to the Adam Ford newsletter.
DISRN.com.
Well, believe it or not, at DISRN, we are on the verge of, by popular request, rolling out subscription options, which, believe it or not, are going to include a once-a-week podcast from myself, from my mountainside bunker in the middle of nowhere. So that's something that I'm excited about. There's people that still aren't subscribed to the B. What are you people doing? Subscribe to the B. Get the exclusive listener portion. That's where I'm going to be there too. Come on, get it together.
Absolutely.
Amen.
The rest of this podcast is in our super exclusive premium subscriber lounge. If you're not a Babylon Bee subscriber, go to babylonbee.com/plans for full-length ad-free podcasts, access to our headline forum, 20% off the items in the Babylon Bee store, a gift, and more. Please drop us a review on iTunes and share the podcast with a friend. Feedback and love mail go to podcast@babylonbee.com. Follow Ethan at AxeCop and Kyle at _Kyle_man on Twitter. Kyle and Ethan would like to thank Seth Dillon for paying the bills, Adam Ford for creating their job, the other writers for tirelessly pitching headlines, the subscribers, and you, the listener. Until next time, this is Dave D'Andrea, the voice of the Babylon Bee, reminding you to go forth and vote for the lesser of two evils, just like Jesus said.
Hillary Clinton is a reptile.